Welcome back to my channel. In previous episodes I talked about the invasions of Ireland and about the Tuatha Dé Danann. But did I ever mention the 4 magical objects the Tuatha Dé Danann brought with them when they came to conquer Ireland? Let's talk about the 4 treasures of the Tuatha Dé Danann. First of all, if you haven't watched the previous videos, I should give you a short explanation to who the Tuatha Dé Danann are. Basically, they are the gods and goddesses of Irish mythology, which lived in 4 magical cities, in Findias, Gordias, Murias and Falias of the goddess Danu. During their time in those cities, they gained a lot of sacred knowledge and also learned about magic arts and crafts like poetry. Basically, during their time in those cities, they as a people changed from being mere humans to becoming gods. And when they left, they took 1 item from each city with them. Those are the 4 treasures of the Tuatha Dé Danann, which shaped the Celtic culture until this day. Let's take a closer look to what those treasures were. The first treasure is the Sword of Light. This item belongs to Nuada, the king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, also known as Nuada of the Silver Arm, after he lost his arm in battle and got a silver arm as a replacement. The sword is known as the Sword of Light or even the Sword of Truth. This item originates from the magical city of Findias and symbolizes the element air. It is said to be unstoppable. No enemy could avoid being hit by it, and a single hit would always be fatal. And even if you only point the sword at someone, that someone would be unable to flee or even to tell a lie. Even though this one is one of the 3 treasures that today lie in Tir na nOg and therefore are out of reach for mortals, this sword still has an influence on our pop culture. Think about it. Be it Nazil, the broken sword from the Lord of the Rings, or Excalibur from the legend of King Arthur. The symbol of the sword that can kill any enemy is still very present. The second treasure is the spear of the god Lugh from the city of Gordias. This spear, when thrown, would always hit its target. But it had one disadvantage. It became very hot and had to be stored in a cauldron full of water to not burst into flames. Naturally, it symbolizes the element fire, just as its bearer Lugh the sun god does in a way. By the way, this was also the weapon Lugh used to kill his grandfather, the Fomorian Balor of the Evil Eye. Without this weapon, the second battle of Moytura might have had a whole different ending. The third treasure was the Andrai, the cauldron of the Dagda from the city of Murias. We already talked about this treasure in a previous episode. The Andrai, the Cuirda Anshik, a bottomless cauldron big enough for 2 grown men to fit into it, which also could feed a whole village with an endless supply of food. And maybe its waters were also able to heal wounds and even revive the dead, but this power differs from legend to legend. It symbolizes the element water, and at the same time the ocean with its endless supply of fish. The 4th and last treasure is the only one that is still in the physical realm and not in the other world. It's the Stone of Destiny from the city of Falias. You might have heard of the Stone of Scone. This is the very one. Probably. There is also a standing stone on the hill of Tara in County Meath in Ireland, which is also associated with this treasure. Which of them is the right one? Well, we'll probably never know the answer, unless the true King of Tara will come close to it. And why is that, you ask? Well, this item is said to have screamed out full of joy when the rightful King of Tara stepped onto it. And therefore it was also used by the Tuatha Dé Danann to determine their kings. And that is most likely the reason why the Stone of Scone was used for centuries in crowning ceremonies of Scottish and English kings and queens. But why? Well, it's said that the Scottish King Fergus borrowed the stone at some point and just never returned it. The rest is history. Around 1300, the stone was brought to England, where it stayed in Westminster Abbey, until it was brought to Edinburgh Castle in 1996. This treasure symbolizes the earth. And again, do you see the parallel to King Arthur? If you think about it, to be determined the rightful King of England, Arthur had to pull his sword from a stone. But was it the sword that determined him to be king? Or was it the stone that gave it free to him? So, those are the 4 treasures of the Tuatha Dé Danann. Which one would you have chosen if you had lived alongside the Tuatha Dé Danann? Anyway, thank you for listening. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. See you next time. Bye!